How long have you guys known each other?
Our life,
long time.
almost our lifetimes.
Almost a lifetime. Our parents knew each other, and her father, and my father were buddies for years.
Ah, okay.
The two of them were buddies for years and years.
So do you have a first remembrance of her? What was your first impression of Sister Melanie?
Pardon?
What was your first impression of her when you met her?
Oh, I knew her before.
Oh, okay.
I knew her when we were in catechism together. No, she was with my sister.
How about the choir?
She was with my sister.
Okay.
Because she's my sister's age.
Ah.
I'm older. I'm a little older than she is.
Okay.
But not that much. Because she's my sister's age. Because my sister and she were in catechism together.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back almost a lifetime. Both of our families were very close. Sister Agnelle's family was at St. Casimir's Parish a few years before my family moved from Brooklyn, New York, to Terryville so that they would raise their family in the little village of Terryville, because both of them came from little villages in Poland. And at that time at St. Casimir's Parish, we had a pastor who would assign, like Agnelle's family, the parents would monitor my parents and guide them along, in the ways of
Sorry.
Terryville.
Okay. Yeah.
So both families bonded for years and years. And this is just a little aside. They had a baby, we had a baby. So it was that we were friends with that particular person in each family. And Sister Agnelle's father had a cow. So my father had bought a cow. There was only one problem. Sister Agnelle's father had to come and teach my father how to milk the cow. So both of our families and us kids and the parents were very close.
Let me ask you, Sister Melanie.
Don't jump in.
I
so
know, you're right.
quickly.
Yep. Where were you born, and if you could tell us when, it would be great. I was born.
I was born on...
You know what? I'm sorry. Let's stop. Keep rolling, but do your close-up.
Oh,
Sister
okay.
Melanie. And I'm gonna get one of you too. But come in on a Sister Melanie's close-up. And you're still looking at me,
I am.
but we're getting a gorgeous close-up of you. Not too close.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Is that
Okay,
good?
we're rolling, and I
Yep.
was.
I was born on 15 Wood Street in Terryville, Connecticut on November 18th, 1925. And I was the sixth of 7 children. And we had a great family. And our family, like other families, the families were mostly people who migrated from Poland.
Right.
So St. Casimir's Church, I used to say, was like a replica of those village churches that our parents came from. And so then we, of course, both of us went to Terryville Public Schools. The education was good.
Right.
And the religious part of our education and development started in our homes. And then a few years down the road, the parish established religion classes, and there were sisters in Bristol, so they came to Terryville to teach us. eventually we got our own sisters, and I think that's what started the ball rolling for us. We had our own sisters. We were both in the choir, alto and trying to be alto, and so that's how the beginnings were.
Great. Let's get a close-up of Sister Agnelle. On the lean-in, just be careful of your focus, as we got a really
Yes.
skinny depth of field. You're aware of that. So
Yes, I was
they lean in,
following.
just track it.
Yeah, I
Beautiful.
was following.
So, same question, young lady. You can push in a little tighter if you could. And then refocus, sorry. Now we're on Sister Agnelle. You're so gorgeous. Both of you are so nice.
Yeah, you guys look
Flattery
great.
gets
Just
you
hold your head up
nowhere.
a little higher. Hold your head up a little. Yeah, now tell us, Sister Agnelle, when and where were you born?
Where was I born? I was born at home.
1 second, a little more lead on her. Lead.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
a little more,
okay.
a little more. I'm sorry, sister. You were
I
born,
was born at
Let's
home.
Start again.
I
I
was.
was born in Cherryville, at home. Those days, that's what they usually were used to.
What year do you remember?
When was I born? 2/13/34. My birthday is 2/13/34.
Nice. Okay.
2/13/34.
Okay, great. And what was your early family life like? You can tell
Pardon?
us about the cow too. Your early family life. What was your family like, generally?
We got along very good together. We cared about one another, and we never quarreled. We never quarreled. My parents loved each other. They were a good example
Mhm.
to us. And my father liked me very much.
Great. Okay. And do you remember? I'm checking off my questions here. When did you teach? We'll stay on the close for now. When did you teach at? Tell us when you started at St. Casimir teaching. Do you remember?
When I started teaching,
Yeah.
St. Stan's.
2/13/34.
Okay.
2/13/34.
okay, but
That's
you
my-
say she taught at St. Stanislaus,
life.
not St. She taught at
Oh,
St. Stanislaus, not St.
You
Casimir.
never taught at St. Casimir?
Pardon?
You never taught at St. Casimir?
We didn't have.
At St. Casimir's,
Didn't
I
have a
taught
school
only
back then.
catechism.
Okay.
Okay.
I never taught us.
Okay. What was it like teaching catechism to children?
I enjoyed it.
Okay, just maybe you could say teaching catechism so we know what we're talking about. Teaching catechism?
Yeah. I taught catechism to the
Okay.
children.
The Baltimore
We
Catechism?
had the sisters until we had the sisters.
Okay.
And then after that, when we didn't have sisters anymore, we taught ourselves.
What was your favorite subject to teach? And say, my favorite subject to teach was? In school, when you're teaching, yeah.
I mean, during my regular school?
Yeah.
My favorite subject? I don't know, I liked all of them.
Tell us about the part you said all the kids liked to hang around with you.
Yeah, tell
the
us
boys
about the...
liked you best. Tell us about that.
Tell
Look
me.
at him.
You like to hang around with me?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't get in trouble.
Oh, talk to him.
Tell me that story.
Look at him when you.
I never got in trouble. That's fine. They like to hang around with me. They like to hang around with me because I kept them out of trouble.
Okay. Okay. How did you handle, as a teacher, as a Catholic school teacher, and as a nun, how did you handle discipline, Sister Agnelle?
Discipline? I never had trouble with the discipline. I never did. I never had trouble with discipline.
Even with the boys?
No.
Who was easier to teach, boys or girls?
I don't know. Well, I think girls usually say it's easier to teach. It's easier to teach the girls. Usually. Well, but I didn't have any trouble teaching either one.
Okay, good. Why don't we go back to Sister Melanie for a second, ask some of
Okay.
these same questions,
Okay.
and just be careful of your lean in, of course.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you, when did you start teaching? Tell me about when you first started teaching and what it must have been like for you as a new teacher. Were you nervous?
Well, I think I was nervous, but I had a knack because I always did want to teach.
Start over and say, when I started teaching, I maybe was nervous.
When I first started teaching, I taught all the subjects in a half a day. And I wondered what I was going to do in the afternoon after lunch. I soon found out that I would go back and reteach. And that my first assignment was in Dearborn, Michigan, and it was the 5th grade, and I had 52 students. So
That's a big class.
talk about discipline.
Talk to me about discipline.
I was a disciplinarian. The first day of school, I laid it all out there. Why they were there and why I was there, and what the expectations of both sides were. I had a few classroom rules, and if you don't do your homework, you don't learn. You need to do your homework, and otherwise you just waste your time, my time, and I always threw this one in, and you waste your parents' money. So I was blessed with being, well, I had the 3 F's. Let me tell you about my 3 F's. And I started this program with my 3 F's when I start teaching middle school. And the 3 F's, some eyes got big on it, and it was firm, fair, and fun. So that's the one that got them. And so I can't say that I prayed with each class that I taught before we began. So.
Okay, question for you, Sister Melanie. What do you think is the value of a Catholic education? And if you could start it with the value of, so we know.
Well, the value of education is great, because as you go through the grades, you're going with the same kids, the same teachers are in school, so it's like a family, really, you know? And everybody knows about everybody else, and parents are involved in, especially parents' night, sometime till 10 o'clock. But it seemed like you become a family, and that happened right along, because from middle school, junior high school, I was assigned by the community to teach at a new high school for girls in Harper Woods, Michigan. And so I maintained the same things I did, you know, as I went along up to high school.
Who is easier to teach, boys or girls?
I like to teach boys better. I did, but I was teaching in an all-girls school, Regina High School in Harper Woods, Michigan. But you know what I found, as I look back, that well, with my program of 3 F's, you know, they knew and I knew. So I found with the boys, if you go right straight with them and tell them, look, this is it, this is what's going to happen, make your choice, and the girls would come with this excuse and this excuse, and so for me, especially in high school, you could talk to them and lay it out. You keep going this way, well, and I always said that I come prepared. I expect you to come prepared. Your parents are out there working, so you can have that desk. And I can't say that I had any major discipline problems. As a matter of fact, at St. Paul's High School in Bristol, I was the the disciplinarian dean for the school for several years, voted on by the teachers.
Tell us about your worst case.
My worst case, yes, it was the winter time, and this was St. Paul's High School, and we had the big mounds of snow after a big storm. And this one young man, he was finishing the sophomore year, and sophomores, they're in a world of themselves. And he was so lucky his parents bought him one of those little beetle cars. So my classroom was facing the parking lot. So this day after school was out, and a few of his buddies and he got into this little car and up the mound. And I'm out there like, I said, oh. So I just watched it for a while, called the janitor to go take care of it. But then I called the parents. That little beetle never came to school for the rest of the year. Because I'd be getting phone calls.
No.
So you're the one who got my Volkswagen taken away.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about St. Casimir's and your both of you at St. Casimir's. What was that like?
Now let Sister Agnelle do some talking.
Yeah.
How they met and everything.
Okay, how did you meet Sister Melanie at?
Pardon?
How did you meet Sister Melanie at St. Casimir? What was that like?
Well, her family, her mother, and my mother were very good friends. And her mother used to come to visit my mother all the time, because she was younger, she could walk. My mother was older. And she always came up to visit my mother all the time. They got along real good together. And then one day, she said to my mother, "What do you think? Our daughters want to go to convent. Can you imagine?" Well, she said, "I could see Sister Agnelle going, but I couldn't see my daughter going."
Now, did you talk to each other about this? About going to convent?
No, we didn't.
No, I'm not jumping in.
So ask
That's what
how
I
they
know.
got the idea.
We didn't
okay,
talk
that's
about
what
it,
I'm
did
doing.
we?
Yes, we did, but
Did we
say what you remember.
What did we say? We just thought we entered the convent. We just decided to go. As far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember anyone who inspired you, or what gave you the idea to go to convent?
And tell me.
Well, actually, we were both in the choir, and that's when she and I got to know each other better. So, and we had a sister, Cecilia, who was the organist, and she paid a lot of attention to the girls that were in the choir at the time. But we knew each other through our families. Families did things together, and so we were family friends, and then we used to talk about the sisters, and then I was already thinking about it, because I wanted a job in the post office and none was coming along. And then I was having times of indwelling and so forth, and things were entering my life and my person. And after choir practice, she and I used to talk. And then she revealed to me that she too was thinking about going to the convent. Sister Agnelle, can you tell them that you were working in New Departure before you went?
What?
Can you tell them you were working in New Departure before you went?
I worked in New Departure before I went. Because I worked for a while because I wanted to help my parents pay off their debt if they had any debts. So I said I want to work for a while to help my parents pay off all their debts.
Good. Let's do that close. You can tell me that another story again, the New Departures. Ready?
Ready.
Well, I wanted to work in New Departure for a while to help my parents so they could pay off their debts. And I figured that would help very much.
And then when did you start thinking of going into the convent?
Pardon?
When did you start thinking of going into the convent?
Thinking about it,
Going into the convent.
going to the convent. Oh, I don't know. Later on, I don't know why, I just liked the sisters. And I thought that I would like that kind of a life. Because I didn't go out with boys. I didn't go out at night. I stayed home most of the time. I was a home girl. I felt I wanted to help my parents, though, for a while. I didn't want to go right away. I felt I want to help my parents for a while so if they could pay off all their debts. Then I would feel freer about going to the convent then. That's why. That's why I went to work for a while.
What did you like about the life?
Pardon?
What did you like? What appealed to you about the life of being a nun?
I don't know. I didn't go out with boys at night. I never went out with boys. I kept my brothers, and I never went out with boys. I never did. I never went out on dates. I always refused. I never wanted to go. When they wanted to take me out, I said, no, I don't care to go out.
What appealed to you about the nuns that you saw?
Pardon?
What appealed to you about the nuns that you saw and knew?
Well, I saw the sisters. I just thought it would be their life, their type of life kind of appealed to me. Because I didn't go out with boys. I didn't go out on dates. I was uninterested in that. So I figured that their life appealed to me. The way they were living appealed to me.
Okay. Bill, while we're on a close-up, any other questions for
Because I didn't go out with boys.
No.
The boys liked me, but I didn't care about them.
Those poor guys.
Did you have a nickname as a nun?
Pardon?
Did you ever have a nickname the students gave you?
My students,
Yeah.
did I have a nickname? No, I thought that I know of.
Ask her, what advice would she have for young girls in the church today?
Yes, this is beautiful, Bill. Sister Agnelle, what advice would you have with young girls that are Catholics in the church that are maybe thinking of joining a convent? What should they be thinking about?
What do you mean?
Well, girls that might join the convent.
Oh, join whom I sought to convent. Well, they saw that I was very happy, that I was very peaceful.
So
I never had any trouble with my children. In grade school, I always got along with all the children.
what advice would you give young girls today about maybe going into the convent?
Well, the advice I give them, well, I said, why don't you try it? If you're thinking about it, well, why don't you give it a try? And just see if you think you'd like that type of life.
How would you like people to remember you?
Pardon?
How would you like people to remember you?
I want them to remember me,
Yeah.
that I got along with them. I got along with all my students and with my classmates. My classmates liked me. They really did. They even told the teacher that they liked me. And she says, there was one that used to always bother me all the time. I turned around and I said, quit it. You know, she's always poking me, pick me, poking. And one time I turned around and I said, quit it. And my teacher at first was surprised at me, and all my students stuck up for me.
There you go.
They said, I forgot her name. Sister Agnelle is a very nice person, and we like her. And we didn't like the idea of that girl always poking her and knocking her. We didn't like that idea. So that's why when she turned around and said, quit it, my teacher scolded me, all my students stuck up for me. Don't scold Sister Agnelle, scold Sister Melanie.
That could be. That could be.
So what would you like your legacy to be? How would you like people to remember you?
Who was like who? My
Just
students?
people, yeah, or just people in general.
How do I would like them to?
Remember
I don't
you.
know. I used to just get along with everybody. I never seemed to get in trouble with anybody. I seemed to get along with everybody.
Yes.
Ask her to say something about Ron Zapecki.
Sister Agnelle, can you say something about a guy named Ron Zapecki?
Ron Zapecki. Ron Zapecki. Ron.
He's a
Ron
priest.
Zapecki.
He's
He
the
became a
priest now?
priest.
He became a priest?
That's
I
St.
think so.
Casimir's.
Yeah.
Ron Zapecki.
Yeah. Do you remember him? How about Father Ed Przgocki? Do you-
I don't know.
Father Ed and I were very good friends.
Tell us about Father Ed.
Father Ed and I knew each other for quite a while. And we used to come together in the morning and sit together and talk. We sisters, they would and I would. And we just talked to each other.
Okay. Shall we go to Sister
Go back to the
Melanie?
two shot?
But
you
when
want-
I turned
Ask
around,
her.
Well, wait.
Oh, wait. Ask her about what?
Ask her about her time in Mississippi teaching.
Oh, a time in Mississippi teaching?
Yeah, Sister Agnelle, tell us about your time in Mississippi teaching. You taught in Mississippi for a while?
yes, I did.
Tell us.
5 years.
Say Mississippi, though. Explain where you were.
Pardon?
Explain where you were. I taught in Mississippi.
I taught Mississippi.
Wait. Go ahead.
I taught in Mississippi 5 wonderful years. I was very happy there. I liked it.
One
And
more.
I taught as
I'm sorry. You said say Mississippi. Start again and say the word Mississippi,
Mississippi.
right? Yeah. I taught in.
Mississippi for 5 years. They wanted a volunteer. Who thinks he would want a volunteer to teach in Mississippi? Says, I'll try it. I'll volunteer. I might like to teach in Mississippi. I don't mind.
Good.
So they were happy
Mm-hmm.
that I was glad to try it out. I said, well, I think I'd like to try it out. I don't think there'd be much difference. Well, I had such sweetheart children.
Just
Second
before
graders,
the
they were such beautiful, beautiful children.
No, wait.
I
Start
just
again.
loved them.
Sorry. No, don't speak
No,
because
okay.
we're on her close. We'll get to that.
No, I don't want you to miss the fact that it was just before the big blue out in Mississippi.
Okay, well, yeah.
Oh.
You mean the black and white?
Yeah.
Did you have mostly black students or white students in Mississippi?
They weren't black. They were white.
Okay. Tell us about how sweet they were, you were saying.
Pardon?
Tell us how nice the students were.
I had a beautiful class of second graders. They were angels.
Okay, good. Why don't we go back?
Okay,
They were angels.
Yeah.
okay.
They were so good.
And you're going to tell us about it, but you can, yeah, very nice.
Okay, go.
Okay.
Sister Agnelle,
Yeah.
how are you today?
Fine, thank you.
And then remember, when I come, I always say, Dzień dobry.
And I will say dzień dobry back to you.
Yeah, that's good. Hello in Polish.
Mhm.
And then I said to you, well, what do you think happened 73 years ago? And you thought and you thought. And then I reminded you that was the number of years that you and I have been faithful to our commitment in our work for the Lord.
Let you and I what?
You and I, that was our 73rd year of commitment of our lives to the Lord's work.
Uh-huh.
And in 2020, it will be 75 years. So we're going to celebrate that. I don't know about the election, though.
Okay, good.
Good.
I have some questions for Sister Melanie.
Okay.
Want a close-up if we could? Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Sister Melanie, you tell me a story. What pops out over all the years? You remember a good short story of something happened?
All right, I'll tell you a story from Regina High School.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to go with her when that
Oh,
happens.
yeah, I wasn't accompanied.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Okay, start
Just be ready.
again.
Keep a loose head. No, you start again, and I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, I'll tell you the story of when I was moderator of the junior class at the Regina High School in Harper Woods. It came October, and I always think of this around this time, and it was our chance to put on the Oktoberfest festival dance, and so we it was a very good class, and we worked well together. So we went out to the farms and got the corn stalks and the pumpkins, and we decorated that gym like it's never been decorated. And then we had 2 days of festivities, and the whole school was involved, parents, it was great. And so then, after that, who's on the cleanup committee? You know, who signed up for the clean? Well, about 7 people did. So of course, my friends, some of my nun friends pitched in, and everybody was saying, wow, that was really one of the best ones we had. And about 2 or 3 days after, Charlie, who was the maintenance man in the school wing where we had the celebration, he said, Sister Melanie, I've been finding little field mice in the gym, because we had it in the gym. I said, how would you be finding field mice? He says, well, I think they were brought in with the corn stalks. So Charlie, and then he had to get his friends, and they were chasing these field mice. But it doesn't end there. The convent was attached to the school. So here and there we had the field mice, and at first we were playing cool, you know. Gee, then everybody caught on. So for a while everybody was looking for field mice, you know. So that's one of them.
Sister Melanie.
We need to get back to St. Casimir.
Yeah. Well, hold on a second, please. Sister Melanie, what would you like your legacy to be?
You know, I've pondered that, and I think that the Lord has given me the gift for teaching, because I would never say, oh, I wish I didn't have to go. I looked forward to teaching, and I would still love to be teaching now. And in what that teaching has developed into, I have students that I meet constantly. They say, oh, I'd recognize that voice anywhere, and so the relationships hold on with the students, their children, and so forth. And I want to say something about St. Casimir's, if it's St. Casimir's is this. Now, people are writing about church families. Some of the articles coming out in Catholic papers, and even the Holy Father was talking about, we're family, he's saying us. And I thought, well, okay, here's St. Casimir's, 100 years. This is what St. Casimir's is about. One big family. Here they are. And it was generation after generation after generation. If you look through these pictures, you see grandparents, parents, the next generations. And that is what was so different about St. Casimir's. For me, every time I went to that church, I went in, I came out a different person. Because I felt that there was something, and that's where I got my call, in St. Casimir's Church. So most of my work was out of state, but when I came back, I went there. I celebrated my silver jubilee there, and it was everybody in the parish. I mean, anything happened, a wedding, a funeral, and then all these little groups of people that brought life to the church. That St. Casimir's had a church family long before they start writing about it. And then if you saw when the Pope was in Africa, talk about church families, and that's at St. Casimir's. Everybody, knew what was going on, took part in it, and made sacrifices, worked. And if you saw the upkeep of the church, they were always proud of how they took care of that church. And we never said the church, we would say our church. It's our church. Way back in those days, that was before 45, because 45 is when I left for the convent. But all those years, and that's the way we were brought up. It started in the families, and then you look in church on Sundays, it's families. It's families. So that is that life that's in that church to this day for some of us. I can speak for myself. And when I was teaching out of state, so I would come home occasionally, and that the first place I would go to, and it was the same. I went in and I came out there was something different about me. So that's St. Casimir's for me. And I hope it continues.
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about the way people would get together in the church.
Yeah, how the church was a big family.
It was, yeah. And we all knew each other. That's one thing that we did, we knew each other.
Uh-huh.
Her father and my father were buddies for years. Remember two fathers? Remember your father and my father? They were buddies for years.
Would you say the church is a family?
Yes.
Tell us.
And my mother, her mother used to come up to visit my mother a lot because my mother was hard for my mother to walk, but she was much younger. Her mother was much younger, so she came always up to visit my mother in the afternoon. The two of them always had a talk together. They enjoyed each other. And to think that both of our fathers were buddies for years. Both of our fathers.
Tell me a little more about the church as other than the relationship with your families, how the families were in the church as a family.
They were quiet.
No, she's not getting it.
They had very little trouble with the children, even the younger children. They just knew they had to be quiet and behave.
Would families help each other in the church?
In church, what we know is not at the beginning we didn't.
She's not getting it.
At the beginning we didn't go to church together before. Later on we went together. But
Okay, I'd like you to ask her the question,
Yes.
what advice would you give to young Christians?
Right.
Nothing to do with Catholic
Right,
Church,
right,
catechism,
right. Yeah.
convent, just
Yeah.
what advice would you give to a young Christian today?
Yeah, Sister Agnelle, what general advice would you give a young Christian person today?
young Christian person today,
Yeah. What would you tell them? What would you want them to know?
like them to know that when a family that pray together, stay together. That's what it was. That was my motto. If a family pray together, they'll stay together.
Okay,
When their
good.
families pray
And ask her
together.
how
Yeah.
St. Casimir's has changed her life.
Yeah, thank you. How has St. Casimir changed your life?
How much
How has the St. Casimir parish changed your life?
changed my life?
Yeah.
You mean now as a sister? Or?
Any way you want to think of it. Was St. Casimir important to you in your life?
Yes, very important. Church is very important to us. Church meant a lot to us. We were there as a family.
Good. I think that's. We're going to go
Okay.
back to Sister
Okay.
for 1 second.
Okay.
So we'll ask you the same question once we get focused and we get the lead in.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
Ready.
Good. So, Sister, what would you tell a young Christian today? What's the most important thing for them to know, or what would you want to leave a young Christian person with today in the year 2019?
Well, as we see the world today and our experiences with conditions as they are, I would listen to Pope Francis, and I would say, love each other. And we're not living in the village of Terryville. We're not living in the state of Connecticut. We are global people today. And I have started this in my family. I have bought each young couple in that they have a globe in their house. And we turn that globe, after listening to the news, we turn the globe to that section of the world that we're going to pray for that day. And I would like to say out there, please invest in the globe and pay attention.
What would you tell the church hierarchy about?
I can't.
You don't want to go there?
No.
Okay. You got any regrets?
Do I have any regrets? When I had to totally retire. I think I retired at least 2 times. Went back. The last 9 years of my active life was for the DCF in the state of Connecticut. I worked for 9 years after my final retire from Catholic school.
What's your hope for the future?
My hope for the future is that the new generations that are following us take time to look at that generation and their grandparents and their great-grandparents and get on those shoulders and live your life. There were plenty examples in families of spirituality, how to help people, all those basic things that as Christians are expected to do.
Tell me that one more time, but just tighten it up. Just the idea of be on the shoulders of your parents, your grandparents. Because I think of the same thing.
Yes, we have to. We must live with that, because what we have today, and we're talking about St. Casimir's Church, and you could talk to any family, and they, like I, could tell you about their parents. Well, my grandparents never came to America, but I'll just talk about my parents, because that's mine. My mother came when she was 15. My father came when he was 17. And they just had friends here. And they made a whole life. And they brought that religion and spirituality from Poland, and they saved it and raised us that way. So that's what I mean when we get on their shoulders, that we have to still realize that we're not alone. I think of my mother and father looking down and saying, wow, who is that kid? Who is that kid? You know, and their great pride is to know that God came and tapped me on my head and tapped Agnella, and went to Father Ran and tapped his shoulder. Father Joe tapped his shoulder, and Father Jets, we got patted on the head. Agnella and I got patted on the head by God, and they got tapped on the shoulder. I didn't bring it, but I have a very nice picture of the bishop and the 3 priests and us. And when I get around to it, if you still want it, I'll share it with you. But that's where we come from all those people. And you know, those Saturday nights, those church envelopes, it might be 50 cents. And if it was $1, wow. And they sacrificed for that church, and they gave it their all. And they did it like I showed you. The people brought the life to the church. And it still continues in little different ways today.
Great. Go back and tell us about tapping on the shoulder.
Yes.
Put your hand down.
Oh.
Okay, and go ahead, tell us. I
Well,
think your hand was here. I mean, I'm sorry, just
Yeah.
in there.
Well, when I look back at this being called to the Lord's service, I always tie it up with how I felt about being in St. Casimir's Church, going in and coming out. I always felt, I don't know, holier, better, whatever that was. But to this day that happens to me. And then I said, we have the book with all the people in it. I said, that's the life, that's there's people that's life. And I said, and God smiled upon a few of us. He came and he tapped Agnelle on the head, and he tapped me on the head, went to Father Ron after a while, tapped his shoulder. Father Joe, what was Joe's name? I forget. Parsimais. Joey got tapped, and the nuns taught him playing the piano. He had a good voice. And then they tapped Father Jitchitz. I don't know his first name. And I didn't know the other priest, Prokaki. Yeah. But God smiled on our parish and called us forth to do his work. His eyes, his ears, and Sister Agnelle, 73 years ago. Remember?
And I answered.
Uh-huh. And we had the life.
I mean,
And we continue to feel the blessings of the Lord.